Welcome to another session of Cookie Jar FX with your host, Eric Foreman. This is day 7 of our daily trading activity since starting last week, and we're still moving through the grunt of it all. At the very beginning, from turning $1,000 into $1,000,000 and making the magic work. If you guys remember, just following up from my trade yesterday, we were in euro dollar, which we still are. We did get a retracement back into the MAs, which I'm going to go over in a second. But we were able to continue that downside activity and movement for the later half of the day into the close, which was anticipated. But because obviously, as traders, we don't trade off of emotions, we don't trade off of our gut feelings, and sometimes that's present. It is somewhat important, but you really read the chart for what it is and allow the story to tell you what it's telling you. So I'm going to share why I was still confident on the short for euro dollar even after I saw that it was pulling up and after we had got this huge bottoming tail. Of course, a little scary, but again, we play to win. And if a loss comes about, it comes about. So one of the trading strategies that I grew up in the industry learning back in 2012, was this strategy called a gift play, right? So the gift play is a 3-bar pullback right into an MA. It can be the 20 MA, is big if it's the 50 MA, even bigger if it's the 200. So if you guys see, we received a 3-bar pullback into the 50, which was flat. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that the Bulls wanted to take some control. They wanted to snatch up some of the sellers. The market makers wanted to snatch up some of the sellers, take them out, and see who's going to flinch and expect or anticipate that the move is now fully reversing. So I just sat and watched. I'm like, okay, we're gonna watch a little bit of this entertainment here today, and see what happens. But what happened was exactly what I anticipated. Move right into the 50 MA, immediate rejection off of that, and then we received a nice little bear 180 or railroad tracks, whatever you like to call them, to the downside, confirming that the bears are actually still in full control. And then we immediately got followed through and closed right back below the 8. So still solid ground. If you guys remember, I'm in a cone trade, right? So the cone trade is the target down to the 20. The idea, as I said in yesterday's video for day 6, is that this target is probably going to break the 20, and we'll probably at least at minimum hit the 382 fib level, which is here. I have it marked, before we even see a potential of a pushback to the upside. If we're lucky and graceful, we might get a even further breakdown to the 50 fib level, which would be nice. Target 2. And then if we're really fortunate, we'll get 618 level down to this area, maximizing on our profit potential. So far so good. We're still working the trade. P&L is looking pretty solid. I didn't close out any trades. I just been letting it flow from yesterday. The profit, as you can see, is still similar to yesterday. I think we was looking at like 15% gain since the start. But right now it's roughly at about 11, 12, floating in that area. So can we possibly get a little push up? Maybe. But we really need to break this low now. That's going to be a critical area, a price area, because we've retested this area twice already and got some previous history here. So I'll just share that with you guys quickly. So obviously this area is important, and we do not want to get caught in the brink of it all. So I think once we break that price line, we pretty much should be straight from there. So I think once we break this price, hopefully tomorrow, once we break, price is probably going to flush down, and potentially break that 50. I mean that 20 MA and start working down to the 382 level. And again, once we close below this 20, that means we're going for a double scoop, right? So you know what a double scoop in the playbook is. It means we now gotten one scoop ice cream or cone trade from the 8 to the 20, but now I want the cone trade from the 20 to the 50. So we'll see exactly how it closes, when it closes, below this 20 MA, and kind of rock out and go from there. So very, very successful activity so far on that trade. I am There's no major news coming up right now. Um, yeah, nothing coming up. I mean, tomorrow we have a little dollar news that's coming out, but I think no matter what, we'll probably see some normal activity for euro dollar specifically. Look at some correlated pairs. Pound dollar's looking solid for a short. We got a nice topping tail off of that, still setting up for a cone trade on here for the daily. So that confirms a little bit more. Um, Aussie dollar is kind of stuck in between a wedge between the 8 and a 20. I don't really like it, but the weekly is still showing that it's somewhat extended, so it can use a little bit of reversal. And I do think it's a little bit too high. New Zealand dollar might look very similar to Aussie dollar, but let's take a peek at it. And we're coming up against a support level on a 50 on a daily. I'm not really liking that. But overall, we're seeing some dollar strength with these pairs. We can look at dollar CAD, see if we actually seeing some strength here. And that's a possible. I wouldn't trade it. Dollar yen, that's a possible. And dollar switch, which I was talking about with a friend of mine, and telling him that I do believe that dollar Swiss will be setting up for a nice cone trade and break of the 8, which it has. It's just I wasn't taking that because if I had to choose between dollar Swiss or euro dollar, I'm gonna go with euro dollar based off of the setup. So yeah, that's it right now. Let's continue to rock out and pay attention to this euro dollar trade. Uh, some wild activity if you got caught in the trap of the spike to the upside, the fake out up there, and then obviously it moved all the way back down to pretty much its original price activity from yesterday, the day's close from yesterday almost. So yeah, right now we're just moving. So let's continue to push, let's continue to work, continue to master this craft and really hone in on patience, sticking with the plan, sticking with the strategy, and following through on what we convict ourselves on in regards to our chart analysis, unless anything dramatic changes. But right now, I'm loving it. I'm chilling, and we rocking out good. So I'll close out here. Make sure you guys subscribe, click that like button, share it with a friend or family member. And again, if you have any questions, just comment in the box, and I'll make sure I reply. Catch you guys tomorrow, and have a good one.